ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Respected dignitaries present online, including Professor S. Lal, the Dean of the University. At the outset, I would like to congratulate Jayoti Vidyapith Women's University, Jaipur, for organizing these two international conferences in connection with NEP 2020. And I'm sure the presentations will be of excellent quality, and there will be a lot of discussion, and it will be a very fruitful international seminar, and this will have its effect on the education panorama of not only the state but also the country. First of all, I would like to congratulate Jayoti Vidyapith Women's University for being the first women's university in the country. Had Swami Vivekananda been alive today, he would have been so happy, because during his times only 1% women were literate, and he was so much pained due to this fact, that as soon as he returned from America after delivering his historic speech at the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, and delivering speeches in America and Europe, in 1897 when he returned, he performed two very important items of work. Number one, he started Ramakrishna Mission on 1st May 1897 for removing the sufferings of people through various service activities, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion, nationality. And he gave a clarion call to his brother disciples and his disciples. You have heard the mantra so far: Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. I am giving you some additional mantras which are more important today, and that is Daridra Devo Bhava, Rogi Devo Bhava, Chandal Devo Bhava. Worship the God who is coming in the form of poor. Worship the God who is coming in the form of the uneducated. Worship the God who is coming in the form of the sick. That is why you fight. Swami Vivekananda started Ramakrishna Mission on 1st May 1897. Just now we are celebrating the 125th anniversary of Ramakrishna Mission spread all over the world. All over the world they are celebrating through 265 branch centers, official branch centers, 65 abroad and 200 in India, apart from 1,200 non-affiliated centers. So many activities are being conducted, and all these activities of Ramakrishna Mission, whether it is indoor hospital, outdoor hospital, mobile dispensaries, whether it is health sector, whether it is education sector, where we have hundreds of educational institutions educating lakhs of students every year, the best quality education along with the value-oriented education, and lot of relief work. Whenever there is disaster, immediately we go and start the relief work, followed by rehabilitation work sometimes. So all these service activities are a part of the spiritual sadhana of the monks. Atmano mokshartam jagadhitaya. And he said people are suffering from mental tension, for which he devised a very, very important method how to bring peace to the minds of the people in a very simple way. So he said the peace is also existing already existing inside every human being. There is a center of consciousness having infinite joy, infinite bliss, infinite knowledge. But we are unaware about it. There is a screen of ignorance. So the only what we have to do is to remove this ignorance, remove this screen of ignorance, and immediately we will be face to face with that peace which passeth understanding. And so he devised a very simple method. The gist of whole of Vedanta he gave in his book on Raj Yoga in one paragraph where he says each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines, dogmas, rituals, temples, churches, mosques are but secondary details. So this combination of these four yogas, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, when they are practiced in daily life, you don't have to go to the temples, churches, mosques. You don't have to go to the Himalayas. You don't have to go to the forest. Wherever you are, whatever work you are doing can be converted into worship. To work is to worship. To renounce is to conquer. That is a new formula that Swamiji said. He said no difference henceforth between sacred and secular. Each and every work can be converted into worship. How? By combining these four yogas in daily life. Meditation, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, prayer, Jnana Yoga, inspirational reading and reflection, and service to humanity, Karma Yoga. And this can be practiced by every human being. Once this is practiced, it brings happiness and peace in everyday life, and also takes us to the supreme goal of infinite happiness, infinite bliss, infinite knowledge. That is how we started Ramakrishna Mission, and all our activities, they are a part of our spiritual practices. This combination of four yogas with more emphasis on Karma Yoga because the society is suffering today. And so we must work. We must work. Of course, it has to be backed up by meditation and prayer. So this is the first thing that he did, was to start a machinery to bring noble ideas to the door of everyone with a practical demonstration. He did not say only serve the God in human beings. Here is a practical demonstration model. We monks, in spite of being monks, giving up our desire of our mukti and moksha, we are working hard. Why can't you work? And by that, you are not moving away from spirituality. This is practical spirituality. When I was traveling with Dr. Kalam, he was asking me many things about Swami Vivekananda. I said, Dr. Kalam, why are you so eager to learn about Swami Vivekananda? He gave a beautiful reply. He said, Swamiji, I feel Swami Vivekananda is a rare saint who converted religion into practical spirituality. So that is what he stood for. And this is the first great thing Swamiji did after returning from the West, 3.5 years of his lecture tour of Western countries. Second thing that he did was, when he saw the misery and the plight of the people, masses and suffering and all that, particularly the condition of women. So he said, no nation can develop without the development of women. Just as a bird cannot fly with one wing, a nation cannot develop without the development of women. And the best way of the development of women is through women education. So at that time, just see how a visionary he was. He started a school for the girls. At that time, the girls used to be married at the age of 5 or 6 years. He went against the society. He had to receive so much of criticism, but he said nothing doing. Without the education of women, the development of women will not take place, and our nation will not be developed. So then he wanted someone who could monitor this education work of that he had started, who could look after that school, who could run that school. After long search, he could not find anyone in the country. Nobody was agreeing for such a revolutionary step at that time. So he gave a clarion call to his disciple, an Irish disciple, Miss Margaret Noble, who was a teacher at that time in UK. He gave a clarion call. The world is burning with misery. Can you sleep? Let us call and call till the sleeping hearts awake. The world is burning with misery. Can you sleep? Let us call and call till the sleeping hearts awake. Buddhas by the hundreds are necessary with eternal love and pity. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice in the past has been the law. It will be, alas, for ages to come. The earth's best and bravest will have to sacrifice themselves for the good of humanity. Buddhas by the hundreds are necessary with eternal love and pity. Are you ready to sacrifice? Then if you come, I'll be with you always. And Miss Margaret Noble took up that challenge. She came from UK to India, sacrificed her whole life for educating women, and that is why when Swami Vivekananda gave her Brahmachari Diksha, he gave her the name Nivedita. Sister Nivedita is very, the life of Sister Nivedita is very inspiring for the teachers. What an amount of dedication can be there in a teacher. She has shown through her life. And with that time, what a type of life she was leading. In spite of being British, she fought against the British. In spite of being from Britain, she was going through the simplest of the lifestyle so that she can understand what others are going through. So that is Sister Nivedita. There are many things can be told about it, but I will humbly request the Jyoti Vidyapith Women's University that this life of and teachings of Sister Nivedita, there are 4 complete works of Sister Nivedita spread over 4 volumes. Her life and teachings should be read, and from there you will get lot of hints. Whatever we have been given here in this new education policy 2020, many of these things have been told by Swami Vivekananda, which has been implemented by Sister Nivedita 125 years back. That is the beauty of it. Because new education policy is very good, but how to implement it? Sister Nivedita has shown the way in which it can be implemented, though in a small way, but a role model, but a sample. And based on that, we can go moving forward, particularly with regard to women education and women development. Now, coming to the point, so women education is a must, and for that, not going to the details, I would humbly request the authorities to go for study of literature of Sister Nivedita, who has implemented the ideas of Swami Vivekananda in not only her school, which is still existing. It is called Sister Nivedita Girls School in Calcutta, one of the best schools of our country. But at the same time, lot of experiments he had made at that time. In 1898, the school was started. Just imagine. So I would leave the matter at that time, at that stage, because we move on to now new education policy. Now, our suggestions have been taken from Ramakrishna Mission by the those people who were engaged in bringing about these changes, and some of the suggestions have been also accepted, and many ideas of Swami Vivekananda on education are reflected in the new education policy. We are very happy about it, though the name is not given, but that does not matter. Swami Vivekananda said, I do not want that my name should be popularized. I want only my message should be accepted. And that has been accepted, that is enough. And that is Dr. Kalam said, the most important message that I like of Swami Vivekananda is that when he says, I do not want my name to be preached and practiced, I want only my message to be actualized for the benefit of mankind. What a noble idea, Dr. Kalam, when he came on 12 January 2006 to Porbandar for inaugurating Vivekananda Institute of Value Education Culture. At that time he told. So this new education policy. I will just take up a few points and one by one I will take how this can be implemented and what is some important points out of that, which are very, of course, there are so many brilliant ideas spread throughout the new education policy, but I will be focusing on a few which will be more important and which can be discussed today in the light of the teachings of Swami Vivekananda and how we can implement that also we can discuss a little though time is short within the short time whatever we can. The first thing that we find in the new education policy is education is fundamental for achieving full human potential. This is the brilliant idea and the most important idea. Education is fundamental for achieving full human potential. So, what is the purpose of education? This has been made clear. UNESCO had already brought out a paper on that. Not education to do, but education to be. To be excellent human beings. That is more important. And excellent human beings, it is a multifaceted personality, total personality development, not only intellectual development personality. And what Swami Vivekananda said, what we want is a total personality development, total human potential. And total human potential is not only in terms of mental and intellectual or physical. There are 5 factors which we have to remember when we are talking about the human potential. First, human potential. Swami Vivekananda had given in a little different way. He said, education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. Is the manifestation of perfection. Already it is there. It is not that we have to import that perfection. Every human being has got a birthright on this perfection. Each and every human being has got that birthright. Only thing is that it has to be manifested. Education is the manifestation of the perfection which is already existing. Now, how to get it manifested? That is the main purpose of education. How full potential can be obtained? This is why it is given the human potential. Now, when we are talking about human potential, normally we confine ourselves to physical, mental, and intellectual level. But according to Swami Vivekananda, total personality development will mean physical development of the personality, mental development of the personality, developing willpower, developing concentration of mind, and then development of intellectual development of the personality, and 2 more, moral development of the personality and spiritual development of the personality. That will be the total personality development. To speak in the modern science, to speak in the language of the modern science, IQ plus EQ plus SQ is equal to TPD. IQ, intelligence quotient. EQ, emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman made a research in 1991 and said that EQ is more important than IQ. And the latest discovery of the modern science is SQ. Dana Zohar, she is a professor in Oxford University. She has written a book. The name of the book is SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence. The book was published 23 years ago. Now many more books have come out on spiritual intelligence, but this is a sort of a guidebook which was brought out as early as 20 years back, where she has given scientific proof about SQ, detailed analysis. So she says neurologically, physiologically, biologically, and psychologically, from every point of view, there is a concluding evidence. There is something called SQ, which is the basis of both IQ and EQ. What is IQ? IQ will tell you how to play the game of life. What is EQ? EQ will tell you how to play the game of life under changed circumstances with changed strategies. And what is SQ? SQ will tell you why to play the game of life. What is the purpose of this life? Why are we here on this earth? What we have to achieve, so that at the time of death we don't have regrets that we did not achieve it. Now we are completely forgetting this particular aim of life. The aim of life is to go beyond. So in our olden times, our education meant paravidya, aparavidya. Mundokopisha says, De vidye veditavye parachaiva aparacha. What is aparavidya? Whatever you think of is all aparavidya. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, geography, algebra, quantum mechanics, anything you tell. This is all part of aparavidya. Even the knowledge of the scriptures is aparavidya. Then what is paravidya? Paravidya is knowing the absolute, knowing yourself, knowing whom you do not need now anything is left behind to know. By knowing him, by knowing that particular thing, you know everything. That is the paravidya. So paravidya, aparavidya, both were taught in our education institutions in the olden times. This has to again come back. When we are talking about total human potential, that includes spiritual and moral development of the personality, and for that we will have to teach them four yogas. Not only yoga, nowadays yoga has become yoga has become exercise. Of course, that is good for health. But what is more important is yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Karma Yoga, as I told. So this practicing these four yogas, reaching that human potential to the maximum, development not only IQ but EQ, and also not EQ but also SQ. SQ is like going above the boundary line and knowing the very purpose of human life. Today, why so many people are committing suicide? Why so many youngsters are committing suicide? Because they have been told by the motivational speakers, ambition, high ambition, keep high ambition. Overnight try to become millionaire. And when they can't become millionaire, they submit suicide. What is the purpose of life? What is the aim of life? What is the gist of life? Eat, drink, be merry, thus enjoy the life. And when there is no enjoyment, commit suicide. What is the purpose of life? Is not only these enjoyments of the senses. We have to go beyond sensory enjoyment, which is the real happiness and peace and bliss, and which is our birthright. Nobody has told them. That is why a simple problem, small problem, and they commit suicide because they don't have any purpose of life behind. They do not know why we are here on this earth. What do we want to achieve before we die? So, this purpose of life has to be met. And it is not only in terms of God. Swami Vivekananda wrote a beautiful, very inspiring letter to Maharaja of Mysore. My dear prince, this life is short. The vanities of this world are transient. In this short life, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. Living for others, otherwise we are dying. Now, have our youth, our students been told this thing that you must live for others? You must the education not only about package, not only about earning money and enjoying the pleasures of the senses. That's all. There is some higher purpose behind that. What an amount of joy you get by serving others. That type of taste of joy should be given to the students. Then only they will understand there are not only one type of joy, there are so many types of joys available. And a human being only has got a prerogative. That is why Dr. Einstein said in his book, The World is I See It, very small book, very beautiful small book, The World is I See It. Dr. Einstein says the true value of a human being, we are talking about true human potential, the true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained to liberation from the self. Just imagine, one of the greatest scientists of our world is speaking about the same thing that our scripture said. Yes, the goal of human life is to go beyond time, space, and causation, reach that absolute. Then only the human potential. Human potential is not only for the physical, mental, intellectual level, but there is a level higher than that. And so Lincoln Barnett wrote a book. The name of the book is Einstein and the Universe. And he said beautifully, very nicely he said, man has a unique capacity. Man has a unique capacity of transcending himself and perceiving himself in the act of perception. Man has a unique capacity of transcending himself, going beyond time, space, and causation, and perceiving himself in the act of perception. And so Niels Bohr, Nobel Prize physicist, says man is an actor and spectator in this great drama of life simultaneously. No other species on this earth has got that unique capacity of transcending himself and perceiving himself in the act of perception, being the actor and spectator in this great drama of life simultaneously. That is a special prerogative of human beings. That is human potential. That is what is different from human being, the animals. And our scripture said that there are 4 lakhs of species. Now, what the modern science says, no, there are 125 lakhs of species. Not much different. But one thing that is they are telling, only human beings have got that prerogative, have got that capability of knowing themselves, of reaching that ultimate, of reaching the ultimate absolute beyond time, space, and causation, of transcending himself and perceiving himself, that perception. Only human beings, no other species out of 84 lakh species. Modern science says, no, it's not 84 lakh species, but 125 lakh species. But modern science also says IQ is available with all the species, including computers. EQ is available with only with a few species, but SQ is available only with the human species. That is the discovery of the modern science, Dana Zohar says. Now, this is special prerogative. SQ is not available with any other species. And this is our special prerogative. What is human potential? Human potential is to develop not only IQ and EQ, but also SQ and have infinite happiness, infinite joy, infinite bliss. This is the special prerogative. This is the human potential that we have to remember and we have to understand. So this is very important. Education is the fundamental for achieving full human potential. And this is what Swami Vivekananda said. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. Another thing that has been given, we have to, I think we are short of time. Providing universal access to quality education is the key to India's continued ascent and leadership on the global stage in terms of economic growth. Yes, already it has become an economic power. Once upon a time, India was on the forefront. It was the topmost on economic growth. And that is why it was called Sone ki Chidiya, full of gold. And people used to come and take away that gold. So many people came just to take it. And they took away the gold. And yet the gold remains. And yet our people have got that capability of generating that wealth. So this universal access to quality education has to be there, and we have to prepare leaders in our education institutions who will, because once our country takes up the role of a leader in the whole world, naturally that type of leadership will be required. So we have to prepare those type of leaders in our education institutions, and to tell in the modern language, they should be servant leaders. Swami Vivekananda advocated servant leadership much earlier. In about 125 years ago, he talked about that. Of course, now the latest trend is that same thing they are telling. Robert Greenleaf he coined the word servant leadership. He says servant leadership only will give you long-term success and long-term achievement in the long run. So that we have to create such type of leaders, who are practicing servant leadership, leading by example and not by precept, and not egoistic, not selfish. These types of leaders will take our country to the topmost position, and our country will be able to lead all the other countries. The need for children not only to learn, but more importantly, learn how to learn. What a beautiful, very nicely it has been told in the new education policy. Not only to learn, but more importantly, learn how to learn. This is exactly Swami Vivekananda said. Education is not the amount of information that goes into your brains and runs undigested all your life. Education is being and becoming. If you take up only 5 ideas and assimilate them, you are much better than a person who has crammed the whole library who knows by heart the whole library. 5 ideas, if you practice in your life and put them into practice, they are more learned than a person who has just devoured the whole of library, who learned by heart the whole all the books in the library. You are more educated. So this more important thing, learn how to learn. That is a very important thing. Education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring. This is very important. And I think the next most important than the first one that I talked about, this is where we are lacking at present. What is the crisis of the nation? Crisis of the nation today is crisis of character. When I was there with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam at Rashtrapati Bhavan, 16th April 2003. So actually I had gone there to just gift one of this one CD based on the talk that he had delivered on 13th February 2002 at Porbandar. At that time he was not the President of India, but later on he became the President of India within 4 months. So I went there and Delhi handed over that particular speech. In between we had of course traveled together by flight and by car. So we were a little friendly. I said, Dr. Kalam, you want to make India a developed country by 2020. But I tell you, even if you bring the wealth of the World Bank, the poverty of the poor people will not go. GDP growth will be there. And this is what exactly happened. In 2009, there was so much of GDP growth and yet 40% below poverty line. Even today, 25% below poverty line. GDP growth is there, good. But poverty. Why, Swamiji, why? Why? I said, the former Prime Minister of India said, if you put 1 rupee to the 5-year plan, only 15 paisa comes to the grassroots level farm. I am afraid even 5 paisa is coming or not. Rampant corruption in the country today. I am talking about 2003. That time it was really rampant. Then he thought for something. What is the solution, Swamiji? What is the solution? I said, only one solution. What we should have done on 15th August 1947, we should do it now. What is that? We should have implemented the message of Swami Vivekananda immediately after independence. What is that? Swami Vivekananda said, education, education, education is the panacea of all our evils, all our problems. But what type of education? He said, what we want is man-making education, character-building education. This is the need of the hour, character-building education. And because that character building education is not there, then I told how in our education institution we are trying to give that value education, character building education. And we have a little more, some more institutions where we are trying to give education, value education to the other schools and colleges, students of other schools and colleges. Through Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence, Hyderabad, Ramakrishna Institute of Moral and Spiritual Education, RIMSI at Mysore. And I said we are now going to start Vivekananda Institute of Value Education Culture at Vivek, which we have started in Rajkot also. So he was very much happy to know all this. Then I said, Dr. Kalam, you have to come to inaugurate that institute. He said, surely I will come. And then he came 12 January 2006, and then he inaugurated Vivekananda Institute of Value and Culture, and he said Swami Vivekananda is not the leader only of our planet, not only of India but of the whole planet. And then he described how Swami Vivekananda had inspired Jamshedji Tata to start Indian Institute of Science while they were traveling together, both of them, in a ship from Yokohama, Japan to Chicago. So all these details he gave, and that is why Swami Vivekananda's most important message was what we want is science coupled with Vedanta. And in our new education policy also science and technology has been given quite a good importance, which Swami Vivekananda wanted. But along with that, he said combination of Vedanta. That has to be there. Then only the combination will bring more success without, so left brain education, left brain oriented education will have to be coupled with the right brain type of education, which Swami Vivekananda anticipated at that time, which he wanted that time, which we have to implement. So, and then there was question answer session, and then one student stood up and said, "Sir, Operation Duryodhana, Operation Chakravyuh, and other operations have revealed the tip of the iceberg, that is rampant corruption in the country today. As the President of India, how do you feel about it? And where do you think lies the solution?" He gave that question. Then Dr. Kalam stood up. Then he said, "You see, the Parliament has already taken action on those MPs," and then he took up a book of Swami Vivekananda and started reading from the book of Swami Vivekananda, where Swami Vivekananda says, "No number of Parliament acts can make a nation good, can make a nation great." Then what can make a nation good and what can make a nation great? Again, he read out from the book of Swami Vivekananda. Only a large number of good people, large number of good enlightened citizens can make a nation good, can make a nation great. Then how these good citizens will come? Who will produce good people? Then he said, and the government cannot produce good people. And the government will not produce good people. They also said. Then who can do it? He said only three persons can do it. Who are the three? Father, mother, and the teacher. So he gave maximum importance to teacher when we are talking about character building education. So Swami Vivekananda emphasized character building education, but he told for that the vehicle will be teachers. Teachers have to be the role models. Teachers are the torchbearers of change. And the formula is be and make. Because when we are talking about value education, values are never taught, values are always caught. Be and make. That was the message Swami Vivekananda gave to Nivedita. First, become great, make others great. First, develop your character, then develop others' character. Unless until you develop your character, you cannot be a role model. You cannot be a motivating force. You cannot be inspiration source to the students. So teachers have a very, very important role, very important responsibility. It is a life of sacrifice. Everybody should not join, should not join. Those who want to sacrifice their life for the sake of the nation, for the sake of the society, they should come forward. They should come forward to become teachers because it's a life of sacrifice. After all, what you are getting compared to the corporate sector, the salary is less. Number one, of course, we are talking about not many teachers are not government teachers. In government schools they may be paid more, but how many get that job? So most of the teachers are very less paid. So less pay, and at least in the olden times, the teachers used to be given maximum respect, and now no respect. Because the respect is given to the money. How much is your package? Depending on that, you get the package, you get the respect from the society. Because our society, unfortunately, has become a consumeristic society. Consumerism has come in a big way in our society, in Indian society also at the present. This is the present scenario I'm talking about. Wrong type of education has given this scenario. So who will correct it? Only education system can correct it. Right from the childhood, the students have to be taught the values of values, and not the value only of money, not the value of only sense pleasures, but the value of the other types of happiness and peace, and the value of serving the society. All these values have to be inculcated at the level of the children. How it will come? Unless until it is in the teachers, it will not percolate down. So Swami Vivekananda's message, be and make. So this has to come, this character building education is very important, but how it will be implemented? We have to remember that it cannot be implemented unless there are a large number of good teachers with character, not only highly educated, not only with degrees and not only with PhD degrees and all that. That is one type, that is only knowledge. But that knowledge is one thing. But when I'm talking about character building, you see somebody may be an expert on, maybe a PhD in chemistry. He may be teaching chemistry, At that time, he doesn't require that, irrespective of whatever he is outside the school, college, it doesn't make difference. After all, he is teaching chemistry. But when we are talking about character building, at that time, the teacher has to has character. If the teacher hasn't got character, it will not percolate down. So this is the most important thing. When we are talking about character building, we have to remember the most important thing for teachers, not only the academic knowledge, along with that, the the excellence in his character. That is very important. So, uh, quickly going through building upon India's traditions and value systems. Very important thing, which we have been telling in our education institution. We of course say, we of course do, and how this can be implemented is by such type of traditions which will not be, because ours is a pluralistic society. Ours is a pluralistic society, so we cannot go for only one, say, on based on one faith. We have to go for in a broad way which will be acceptable to the people of all faiths, such type of values. But what we are doing is that we did the other way around. We removed all the religious values. No, we should give values of all faiths rather than removing the values of all faiths. Is a positive way is to teach them the harmony of religions. How fundamentally, if you go to the fundamentals of every faith and every religion, they are the same. Fundamentalism can go only if the fundamentals are taught. So only fundamentals, without fundamentalism, should be taught to the children right from the childhood. Then they will understand, oh, they are talking, they are fighting among themselves, but they are unnecessary fighting, because every religion is telling the same thing and there are various paths to reach the same ultimate reality. So this reach upon India's traditions and value systems have to be given, and India's culture has been a global culture. We must understand that. It is not a narrow culture. We talked about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We talked about the global family when globalization word was not there. Globalization had come only recently, and only globalization has come only on economic front. But the globalization has not yet come. Global culture has not yet come. Global civilization has not yet emerged. But in India, we talked about it thousands of years back. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is the special prerogative, the special contribution of Indian culture that should be taught, not the narrow, just some sort of, in the name of religion, just you just give some rituals, emphasis only on rituals. No, इतना तिलक लगाना चाहिए, इतनी बार fasting करना चाहिए. These are good, but not the essence of Indian culture. The Indian essence of Indian culture is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That should be emphasized in our education system. Then it will be acceptable to all. And what we want is to go through the line of least resistance. You see, then only we can make progress. If there is resistance, we will not be able to progress. Go through the line of least resistance. And the rich legacies of India to world heritage must not only be nurtured and preserved for posterity, but also researched, enhanced, and put to new uses through our education system. Very important suggestion has been given in this by the new education policy. But now, how it will be researched, how it will be enhanced, we have to find out the various methods of how implementing it. Idea is very good, excellent, but this has to be further. We have to work on it at a practical level, but it is very important. Teachers are the most respected and essential members of the society. That is what the new education policy says. But what is the ground reality? Ground reality is teachers are least respected. Of course, some teachers they receive. So when during a teacher seminar, some teachers said you are talking about too much. The teachers are the torchbearers of change, and you are talking so high about the teachers. But reality is that we are not getting respect. Then I said, you see, do not demand respect, command respect. I know some teachers who command respect even today. If they're going on the road, the students come, the modern students come with the modern dress and bows down. Why? because that student has seen the life, the character of that teacher. Based on today, there are some teachers who command respect, but we have to enlarge that number. At the same time, in general, that particular mindset that the more package, greater you are, better you are. This has to be removed. Consumeristic society, money should not be the criteria by which to judge a person. Simple living, high thinking, we talk, but actually, what we are practicing is high living, simple thinking, sometimes no thinking. So, this simple living, high thinking, if that is being preached to the children, and the value of it, and the value and how it gives inner happiness, if that is being taught, then only this the teachers will be evaluated depending not only on salary or package, but on the contribution they are giving to the society. Each and every teacher is responsible for creating 1,000 great men. One teacher can produce 1,000 great men. Reversely, inversely, they can produce 1,000 Rakshasas also if they don't give proper education through behavior pattern or through this one. So this is teachers are most important, but of course there has to be training program for them, residential training programs where they will be given the how to build their own character. There should be not only lessons or academic lessons, but also they should be allowed to practice meditation, prayer, and all type of things that we want from these children. First, they should be taught. So, the training of trainers is necessary. Then training of teachers, and then training of students. So particular focus on historically marginalized, disadvantaged, and underrepresented groups. This is what Swami Vivekananda said time and again. Masses, the education of the masses, unless until our masses are well fed, well educated, there is no future for India. As on today, also same thing, underprivileged people should also get excellent education. The education, and then if they do not come to education, Swami Vivekananda wrote in 1894 a beautiful letter to Divanji Haridas Bihari Desai of Junagadh, Divanji of Junagadh. My dear Divanji, the only solution of helping these poor people and marginalized underprivileged people is to educate them. But how to give them education? Even if you start, he said at that time, even if you start a school in every village, these people will not go to school. They will go rather there with their parents to plow the land because they are so poor. What is the solution then? A wonderful solution, he said. The solution is this: if mountain cannot come to Muhammad, let Muhammad go to mountain. If they cannot come to education, let education go to them. So this education for all, the remote education, the long-term education, the distance education, these are various methods they have now devised, but Swami Vivekananda talked about it, distance education. And now with the more of our online programs and all that, we can still go further into that. But the education of the masses is a must if we want to develop the whole country. If we want a particular section only, then we may neglect it. But that neglect will be at our own peril in the long run. So, incorporating the various elements are to be done taking into account the local and global need of the country and with a respect for a difference to its diversity and culture. So, these are some of the things. These are very nice things. My time is up, but I am very happy to interact with you, and I am very happy that such nice things are being discussed, and I am very much sure this international conference, the output will be wonderful, and it will be in the long run. It will help not only the university, not only the participants, not only the students, but also the society at large. Thank you very much.